Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves some interesting news coming out to us from Deck 9 Games. If you guys don't know who Deck 9 Games is, well, quite frankly, I don't blame you. Deck 9 Games is the ones that are behind Life is Strange, for example. I'm sure you guys have heard of that video game in the past. Well, it is a company that has been known to be a little bit virtue signaling, right? Like they put out the typical LGBTQ posts. I mean, looking at them right now, their logo is literally surrounded by the rainbow flag for LGBTQ all the way to trans as well. So they are obviously a virtue signaling company, and they have abandoned a lot of the gamers that have loved their games initially, but for the most part, they know their player base. Well, apparently, their player base just wasn't enough to support them any longer after they abandoned some of their initial gamers and decided to go full virtue signal. Deck 9 Games has just announced in a recent post that they're in fact firing a lot of people.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, you guys got to put a negative spin on everything.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, what these virtue signaling companies tend to do is they tend to blame the industry, right? They tend to say, oh, it's just the sign of the industry, right? It's the sign of the times. It's just the climate that we're in right now that we're affected as well. It's totally not the fact that we abandon a lot of people who say they don't want this nonsense in video games. It's totally not the fact that our client base was left behind because we chose to be ideological psychopaths. No, it's totally the fact that the gaming industry is just an industry that's being hit by random layoffs with no explanation to it whatsoever, and we're just the next ones that got hit by it. It's absolutely insane. But Deck 9 Games, again, when I saw this post, I wasn't even gonna bother. I really wasn't. I seriously wasn't even going to bother until I realized that when I looked at their Twitter page and you look and you realize that their profile picture is literally a virtue signal. And then in the same breath, they're talking about how they're firing people and losing jobs. And mind you, firing people right before Christmas. I was like, you know what? Yeah, we got to talk about this. So let's get into this article, guys, and this video. But before we do, of course, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, there's one thing I want to make very clear before we get into this statement made by Mark Lyons, the CEO over at Deck 9 Games. Deck 9 Games is just like other studios that virtue signal. The reason why they virtue signal is not because they give a crap, because they don't, okay? Most of them have been proven to be liars about their virtue signal, and they will immediately remove all the virtue signaling nonsense if it gives them the opportunity to make money in other countries that don't allow it. But that's besides the point. You guys got to understand that they also do it in order to protect themselves and shield themselves from what they know is eventually going to come out from this company, right? These companies have skeletons in their closet, and this is no different. So there's an article here from all the way back earlier this year in April 5th of 2024 with a headline that reads, Life is Strange Studio, Deck 9, accused of toxic workplace culture in a new report where hate speech, crunch, bullying, and abusive leadership allowed to fester. Is anybody shocked at the fact that a studio like this that virtue signals nonstop was accused of all of these things and more? I mean, it's pretty obvious that when they do this virtue signaling nonsense, it's to try to protect themselves. It's the same reason why a lot of these weirdos end up going trans, because they know if they go trans, nothing will happen to them. Nothing can happen to them. They are ultimately protected by society in every metric. You could literally come out and damn near off someone, and they'll just look at you and be like, well, you know, he's trans, it's okay, let's just bury this under the rug. How many mass events have we seen that have involved trans people that we have zero answers for, but the moment a white guy decides to do the same exact thing, suddenly we have his entire freaking documentary within 48 hours. It's ridiculous. But in this report, says that it was a series celebrated for its diversity and inclusivity, talking about Life is Strange, and has painted a picture of a studio where toxicity, hate speech, harassment, crunch, and bullying and abusive leadership has been able to fester as a result of inaction from senior management. The lengthy report from IGN's Rebecca Valentine, based on testimony from over a dozen current and former employees across several departments at Deck 9, make a number of eye-opening allegations, many highlighting a seeming disconnect between inclusive values that have made Life is Strange such a beloved hit and those of the studio. It's almost as if they don't care. It's almost as if the virtue signal that they're trying to put out there to the public doesn't actually mean anything, right? It's almost as if that's true, because it is. So let's look at the actual statement from Deck 9 and what they had to say. So again, this is from Mark Lyons, the CEO over at Deck 9 Games. He says the following: Today, we are sad to share the news that we must say goodbye to some of our talented team members. This was an extremely difficult decision and reflects the challenging times many companies in our industry are currently facing. We are extremely grateful to every individual who has dedicated their hard work, passion, and commitment to making transformative entertainment with us. To those of you leaving the studio due to these changes, thank you for sharing your talents with us. I like how they word it as leaving the studio and not getting fired. You know what I mean? Like they're not leaving of their own decision. You are firing them, my guy. But again, it's the wording, right? The wording to try to make it seem softer than it actually is. We are proud of what we were able to accomplish together and are committed to supporting you in this transition in any way that we can. To the community, we ask for your support and understanding during this difficult time. Oh, yeah, it's so difficult. It was so difficult to abandon the gamers that might have supported you had you just listened to them and maybe not be so heavy-handed in your virtue signal to the point where you have an LGBTQ freaking profile picture on your Twitter page. I'm sure if I went down past this post, I would get in a ridiculous amount of virtue signaling from this company. So people are obviously not having it, right? We got Revan over here. We warned you. You all laughed at Get Woke, Go Broke. It actually is a statement of fact at this point. You got Raven Rainfall saying Go Woke, Get Fucked. We even got John Eb Trent, Get Woke, Go Broke. We got Bander Hub says, well, just take a look at your profile picture and you will start to see why those talented devs had to be laid off. Virtue over safety of your staff. You should be ashamed. And again, this is probably the most telling thing out of everything is that the fact that you're making this statement about laying off people and then you are purposely being divisive in the industry, it goes to show that you really don't care. You don't care about the virtue signal. You don't care about the people that work with you. You don't care about actually making sure their jobs are safe for the long haul. You don't care about any of that. All you care about is to try to seem virtuous because the company is being accused of insane things over the last couple of years. And then it says, Karen says, I wonder why, noting the profile picture again. You got TY saying you get what you deserve. Fed Up Majority says, gee, I can't imagine how this happened. And again, everybody's pointing to the profile picture because why not? Mr. L says you went all in on ESG DEI, reap what you sow. Chris says, at this rate, there's going to be a homeless encampment full of blue-haired, non-binary X-game developers. Packer Girl says, I wonder why, with, again, a transphobia warning. There was a transphobia trigger warning in Life is Strange. That's the level of virtue signal that we're dealing with when it comes to Deck 9 games, which is insane. If you read it here, it says enable warnings before mentions of transphobia occur. No depictions of transphobia occur. If enabled, warnings would appear on the top right-hand side of the screen before the content appears, because clearly people are so damn soft that they cannot see anything that might even remotely trigger them in a video game. It's absolutely insane. So I just wanted to report on this and have a conversation going in the comments about Deck 9 games. But to be honest with you, I don't care. I don't care. I don't feel bad. These are developers that are absolutely ideological psychopaths, and they will 100% celebrate if anybody like you or me lost their jobs. So I'm not going to care if they themselves lost their jobs or, according to the CEO, left the studio. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you could like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.